Let me ask you this. When you walk into a room, do people feel your presence?
We've become complacent, lazy, and we've taken that for granted.
When you speak, do you sound confident, credible, and in control? Because authority isn't just what you say. It's about how you carry yourself, how you deliver, and what your body is communicating before you even open your mouth.
Authenticity costs. For somebody to be 100% truly authentic, there's a price to pay.
Welcome to The Growth Concept. I'm your host, Kieran Upton, and I'm on a mission to empower growth through these real conversations. Joining me today is Shil Shanghavi, a public speaking and storytelling specialist and former head of speaker coaching for TEDxPerth. And what makes Shil's story even more powerful is he built his entire career while living with severe stutter. With having this barrier, he has still become a global speaker and coach. In this conversation, we get into the real stuff, authenticity, and how to read body language so you can tailor your approach, whether you're in sales, delivering a speech, or just trying to connect with someone one-on-one. If you want to speak with more clarity, show up with more confidence, and learn the non-verbal cues that change everything with communication, you're in the right place. And most importantly, have a good laugh with us as well. This is The Growth Concept.
Finally, we make it.
2026, we're here for a powerful conversation. Shil, for people meeting you for the first time, not knowing who you are, what message you tell, beyond these titles, professional public speaker, storyteller, who are you and what mission are you on?
Let's start with the who am I. Beyond the title?
Beyond the titles.
I don't have a title. I prefer to not give myself one. If others choose to, then that's on them. I'm a football fan. I'm a Manchester United fan. You know that already. I love wildlife. I've always had an interest in how everything in the world is connected. I love sneakers. I also love red Skittles. So if somebody hands me a bag of Skittles, I'll only pick up the red ones and discard the rest because I don't like them.
Why?
Because I've always enjoyed the red Skittles. I also am a person who struggles with heat, hence the reason I've asked you to cool the room down today. And one thing I would like people to know more about me is behind the facade and the reputation of being the person with a professional speaking title is that I'm afraid of what I do. I know it doesn't come across in that way. However, I am. So that's who I am. We can unpack that later. And what was your second question?
What mission are you on?
To change the way the world speaks.
Wow. How come that's your mission?
Because I've wanted to always improve the way I speak. And having been on that journey for over 3 decades, I've seen how there's much to do with how the world communicates. And I'd love to see that become better.
Do you see, looking at the world as a picture, do you see that we're lacking heavily in the way we communicate? Or is it enhancing in some areas? Obviously, phones or the technology revolution, that's amplified some ways we communicate. But do you see a need for other areas?
What's your definition of it? So as you said, we communicate online, we communicate in person, we communicate on the video. Is your question what area can we improve in all that or in face-to-face verbal communication?
I'd say face-to-face verbal communication.
We can improve greatly in face-to-face verbal communication. You're smiling and you're nodding enthusiastically because you agree with me. We've become complacent, lazy, and we've taken that for granted, i.e. face-to-face communication.
Such a good point. You were born in Kenya, and at age 15, you moved to this amazing country, Australia.
Yeah.
What was your childhood like in Kenya growing up? You developed severe stutter when you were 10 years old, and then you moved to Australia at 15. So we're getting a pretty compact timeline. A lot of stuff happened during this time. What was your childhood like before the stutter and after? Like, can we get that perspective?
Of course. Let's start with the challenges. The challenges were awful. And I'll clarify. My life at home with my family is brilliant. Always has been. I've got the best relationship with my sister, my dad, my mum. We're super close. So that's always been brilliant. The challenges came from being bullied, being laughed at, being teased, being beaten up every day. Every single day, even before I started stuttering. So that's always been challenging. And then after stuttering, it became worse, i.e. the bullying, the laughing at me, the teasing became worse. So taking both of those into account, what was my childhood like? On one hand, the best childhood, because I've come from my best family. On the other hand, it was shit because of everything I went through to deal with what other people were doing and saying to me.
Something's just clicked. Obviously, we don't know the underlying root on how stutter just develops at age 10. You just, I guess, caught it. Do you think with all that bullying and trauma that you went through that had kind of influenced that side?
Partly, yes. When I wasn't aware that it was developing, my parents became more aware of it. I was a kid. I didn't understand what it meant to start developing a stutter. What I do remember is when I started, I wasn't aware and I didn't care. I only became aware and cared when other kids started to pick on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the point that I became aware of it. And as I'm speaking, I know I had a point to this. Can you repeat your question, please? Because I want to answer your question succinctly. What was it? If you've forgotten, it's okay. We can go to something else.
No, I feel like, no, it's there, but I feel like I'm just taking in so much information, and I think that that process is eye-opening because I can relate to some parts of that story. It was, what was your life before stutter and after? And obviously we spoke about the bullying may have influenced
Correct.
this.
So did the bullying influence it? Absolutely. Absolutely. From a kid, the bullying influenced it. As I became a teenager, when you want to become friends and be liked by people, we've all been through that stage in life. Yeah. I struggled to make it happen, which resulted in my stutter getting worse. Through to university, through to my first job, through to my corporate life, it chips away at you. And the more it chips away at you, the more it affects your confidence and your well-being. So it absolutely affected it, and it made it worse.
Wow, that's insane. That's crazy. I can only imagine what that pressure would have felt like for you. When I asked you, what is your passion, in a Zoom call we did on Tuesday, you said to me, and I love this, it opened my mind to this whole perspective. You said, Keone, love that question. What is passion? And I typically answered, like the answer you get all the time is something I love to do that time just flies by. And then you said, okay, that's great. But you said a very interesting point that the word passion comes from a Latin word, pati, meaning to suffer. So then I ask you, why did you choose the passion for public speaking, with it something being so scary, daunting, and tiring for you, like it mentally just drains you. I think that's crazy. How come you've chosen that avenue, and how come that's your passion if it's something that's so hard?
I have wanted to do this since I was a kid.
Nice.
One of the memories I have when I was in my playground in school was being beaten up because I couldn't play marbles. And, it was over a game of marbles because I struggled to say my name and to introduce the game. And I was told to go and stand in a corner on my own because I'm stupid and I didn't belong with everybody else. So I cried and I stood in this corner. And in that moment, I asked myself, what do I need to do to speak clearly? And in that moment, I knew that I wanted to learn how to speak to one person and then a group of people. And it's a curiosity I felt ever since I was 10. So I've wanted to do it ever since I was a kid. Over time, it became a challenge, and then it became a game, and then it became an obsession. So I've chosen to do this because of curiosity, gamification, and obsession.
I remember hearing one of the messages you said on another podcast that you would go to a networking event with a game in mind to introduce yourself to X amount of people, get X amount of connections.
Yes.
At what point did you realize this? Because I'm imagining myself in your shoes, being that young and having all these people picking on you. And then as you've gotten older, have viewed it as a challenge, game, and an obsession. At what point in that timeline did you see the positive side of it?
That's an unexpected question. At what point did I see the positive side of it?
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever I can't say I've ever felt the point where I went from a negative side of it to a positive side of understanding the pursuit of fluency. I realized in a later stage in life, in my late 20s to early 30s, that what I've been training myself to do is going to succeed me. It wasn't until a later stage in life that I realized that. As a kid, you aren't aware of the distinction between a negative experience and a positive experience. Well, I wasn't aware of that. So I can't say that there was a moment where I knew, wow, this has gone from a negative experience to a positive experience. And if it happened, it was only until I was older that I realized what I've got is elite. I talk about that concept on stage, but that didn't happen until later in life. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. The fact that it's like the conversation we had earlier about growth, it's that 1%, and it's over time with doing the reps, you've then realized that it is elite to have this, which is a good change of mind. It's like same with having dyslexia or ADHD. You can either view it as what school portrays it as that negative view, or come out of school and actually search up the positive side of it. And it's like, oh, ADHD, hyper focus on something you're passionate about. Hold on, we can pivot that, and you're going all in on that, which is interesting. Did someone teach you this, or is it something that you picked up over time with having this mindset shift?
That's something I'm proud of. Is none of this has been taught by somebody else. It's all been self-taught, and I'm proud of that because I've learned it all on my own through hours and hours and hours of practicing, trying, doing it again, practicing, trying, and doing it again. A turning point was when I realized what I've got isn't a disability, which is what so many people have put as a label to it and to me. People would apologize and say, "We're so sorry, Shil, that you have a disability." And I accepted it. I took it.
Yeah.
Until I realized, no, I don't have a disability. So, excuse my language on this, fuck off.
Amen.
Stop saying that to me.
Yeah.
What I've got is an elite skill because it's taught me to see speech and construction and fluency in a way that 99%, more than 99% of people would never think about. How is that a disability?
Do you still
It's a
have people,
hyper ability.
Yeah. Do you still have people coming up to you and apologizing for what you have?
Yeah.
And if so, how do you respond to that?
I respond with, please don't apologize.
That simple.
Never apologize. I love what I have. It's everything about me and who I am. So please don't apologize.
I love that.
Apologize in a way that doesn't make the other person feel bad for what is a positive intention.
Yeah. Good point. Putting it back in their court as such.
Well, I can say, don't apologize because you're wrong. That's a shitty way to position it. Or I could say, I appreciate the thought. Please don't apologize because I love what I've got. There's a difference with how it's positioned.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to you in that sense with having dyslexia. People are like, oh, sorry that you struggle to read, all this, all that. But it's like, it's kind of the same thing, which is extremely powerful with that reframe. When you were younger and you were excluded from these groups when you were a kid, and you learnt very quickly how to read body language, which I think is so fascinating.
I did.
Can you tell me a story or a significant memory that you've had on this crucial learning that you had so young?
A learning with body language?
Yeah.
I can. It wasn't when I was young. So the story which comes to mind is when I was in a corporate role. And I had a presentation to a potential client. Everybody comes into the room. I was so nervous about this presentation because it was at a time in life where I wasn't open about stuttering. I kept it to myself because I was embarrassed. And I slipped in my introduction, i.e. I stuttered in my intro. And I could see the person to my right change their eye contact. They sat back, they crossed their arms. So there was a change in their entire being. And unbeknown to me, that was an observation I'd had for 20 years plus. And over time, I'd been observing this on people that I speak to. Whenever I stuttered, there was a change in the pattern and the way a person received me and perceived me. So I learned about the micro habits. No, that's the wrong word. Micro changes in body language. But that's a moment which stands out because I realized then this person has no idea how to respond. And I could tell that in how they change their expression, their body language, their eye movement. Yeah. Everything changed.
When I watched you speak at the business conference that we went to in October 2025, and you started off stuttering, like not using your techniques to control it.
Yeah.
And I was like looking around the room, and everyone was like looking at each other, like, what's going on?
Were they?
Yeah. It had that uncomfortable, like, oh, is he meant to do this? What's going on?
Do we feel bad for him?
Yeah.
Did you feel that thought in the room as well? If people were unsure if they should feel bad for me?
Definitely that, oh, I'm sorry for, like, I feel his nerves and 100%. And that was something I picked up. And an important point you raised is making people feel comfortable. And the way you do this is by watching their body language, tailoring your techniques to suit that specific person as such. What key things do you look out for? For example, you mentioned that micro movements, whether they sit back, arms crossed. What other key things do you look for? And based on that, how do you tailor your approach based on someone's body language, on the way they've perceived your information?
Let's go back 2 steps here. People start to form an impression of you fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculously fast. So people will start to form an impression of you in less than 1 second.
That's fast.
Okay? In less than a second, we collect information that we use to determine if a person is competent, safe, and trustworthy. And the type of information we look for is eye behavior. So eye behavior is a combination of eye contact and eye movement, stillness, breathing, and pace, and all of that combined results in predictability, and it can be positive predictability or negative predictability. So what does that mean? Whenever I meet somebody for the first time, I'm conscious of all these things in me and how I am, and how that's going to determine positive or negative predictability.
Right.
And within 10 seconds, when we meet somebody or when we're presenting, people lock all that information in to determine an impression of you.
Help me visualize this. So when you're approaching someone, how do you carry yourself, whether that's your eyes, your hands, the way you walk, even to that detail, to make someone feel more comfortable or have that comfort feeling?
Yeah. In a one-on-one at the conference which you both came to, if I met you for the first time in that room, some of the things which would determine how you receive me is stillness. In conversation, if I'm still and grounded, it'll calm you. If I speak fast and erratic, it'll fluster you. If you can sense my breathing is in control, that will calm you. These are some of the things which will determine how you're received. So I've trained myself to be conscious of all of this. And then things like eye movement and eye contact and eye behavior. If I'm talking to you and if I keep squinting in conversation, how's it going to make you feel?
Yeah.
However, if a combination of all of it is open, how's that going to make you feel? Conversely, if I start stuttering and I see a shift in your body language, I've always felt it's my responsibility to take that on and then to make you feel more comfortable about how to manage it.
Would that be kind of like mirroring? Mirroring.
Not always, because I feel if you mirror too much, it can be condescending. It can be as though you're trying so hard to impress a person by matching them. So I do agree with the mirroring concept. It's a balance how much you mirror, because if you mirror too much, then you aren't being you.
Good point. I feel like the way we met was so off script, let's say, at Emma's 35th birthday party, was it?
I thought she was 45.
Could be 45.
I'm kidding. I know she's not 45.
Oh, no,
Emma, I know you're not 45.
Uh-oh. For example, when I met you for the first time, I didn't realize anything about stutter and all this. And you came, like me thinking out loud and also having this conversation, you came across very calm, pleased, thankful as well. Does that view change in a more professional environment? So let's just say I want to learn to carry myself a bit better, whether that's making someone feel more comfortable or establish more authority in a meeting or something. How would you go about that?
Can you ask the question again?
So if I wanted to develop more of the body language, learn to read people and all that in different situations. For example, the party we met at, it was more of that casual yourself vibe, but in a business environment, it's a lot more typically more posh, quote unquote.
Can be, yes.
Yeah. How do you change your technique based on different environments? Does it change?
It does change. Let's use Emma's party as an example. There was a lady to my right. Her name was Beck. And I noticed Beck was by herself. She was sat by herself. I wanted to include Beck in conversation. And so to do that, a shift in my body language to face Beck and then to welcome her in created a space for her to then join that conversation. The same with you. If I wasn't slow and calm in our conversation, and if I was fast and erratic, how would that have made you feel?
I feel like I would have matched it super quickly.
Okay, and if you'd matched a fast and erratic conversation, what would that have done to us two?
Made us, I don't know, scream, jump. Who knows?
I feel if the two of us were in a fast, erratic conversation the first time we met, we wouldn't be here today. The first time which the two of us met,
good point.
For me, we wouldn't have been here today. Because it was the calmness and the pace of our conversation which created a connection. One of the things which created a connection. So back to Emma's party. But before you arrived, I was there on my own, and I was having a chat to five people. The positioning of my expression, my gestures, and my body language was open, inviting, and playful. I wouldn't apply a playful mood and tone in a business conversation, especially the first time. And then it depends on what I want out of that conversation. So what's my pace like? What's my pitch like? What's my facial movement like? And then what's my eye movement like? That's a combination of eye contact and eye behavior. So eye contact is what I'm doing now. Eye behavior is when I'm looking at you and I start to blink. That's eye behavior. Or this is eye contact, and now I'm starting to look around the room. How does that make you feel?
Almost like checking the time. Like
he's distracted.
Yeah, good point.
So a combination of that is what I would take into any environment and adjust that based on the room I'm in. Am I going to be playful or assertive? In a business context, depending on the audience I'm in front of and the amount of time we've got, do you get to the point? How fast do you get to the point? What words do you use in the sentence which you're constructing? Where do you put your hands? Do you sit back? Do you cross your arms? Or do you sit up on the table? How do you position yourself to give you the best outcome of the conversation you would like? There's a lot to go into.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting. When you say playful gestures, what does that look like? Like, help me visualize, because when I came into Emma's party, I didn't, like, even today, I don't really think about the way I, like, consciously think of the way I use my hands, the way I look around.
Sure.
It's not something I've really thought about before, so.
And I don't encourage people to overthink it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
true.
not saying overthink it. Do it in a natural way. So playful is, I was having a chat with the group. One of the guys said something. I'm not going to repeat it. He said something, and my response to that was, same here, which comes across as a playful gesture, as in, same here. I totally get that. I'm with you. Yeah. Playful gesture. I wouldn't carry that into a business conversation unless I've gotten to know a person over a year, maybe. And it's a playful conversation. Until then, I wouldn't take that into a business meeting. Are you with me?
Yeah, that makes sense. But then when you're wanting to build that connection with the client or your audience in this sense, and you want to connect with them on the human-to-human level, would those gestures, obviously not going over the top, create more of that connection as compared to more of that disciplined approach? Would you use that word?
Of course. You balance the amount of energy and the way you gesture. So just before Christmas, I had a chat to a group that liked to book me to speak at their professional development day. There was 5 of them. There was 1 of me. One of the things I love doing at the beginning of a conversation is avoiding the "are you busy?" So what's on at the moment? I hate those questions because they're cliche. Yeah. Their opening question to me was, "So how was your weekend?" And I responded, "It was upsetting because I'm a Manchester United fan and we lost again." 2 of the other people are Liverpool fans.
Our man behind the camera is a Liverpool fan.
I know. So I looked at him. They were Liverpool fans. So to carry my playful side, I balanced the gesture, the movement, and said, I'm done. I'm already done. I can still do that and say, I'm done. And it comes across as playful without being overly aggressive about it and saying, I can't believe you're a Liverpool fan. Oh, come on, man. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah. Okay. So how can I be more aware or conscious in different situations without overthinking it? Do you have a step-to-step action step that you would go about it?
I would be doing an injustice if I said, here's a 5-step action plan for how to measure your body language. Excuse the character. Because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And we'd be overthinking it. It doesn't exist in my world because then we're overthinking it. I coached a chef, and this story will answer your question. I coached a chef for his TEDx talk. And there was part of his talk where he was showing fruit and the products he uses to cook. We choreographed the gestures for that part, specifically for that part. And for the rest of the talk, I encouraged him to gesture the way he would when it feels natural. Because if you over-choreograph the way you gesture and you're off by a quarter of a second, have you ever watched a movie that's dubbed?
Or like
the lips move and then the words trail after and they don't sync?
Oh, I'm just like picturing this back in the day scanning DVDs.
Yeah.
And like copying a movie onto another disc as like kind of like pirate.
Hang on, you were around for DVDs? You're too young for DVDs,
not
aren't
the
you?
cassette players. I was born 2006.
Okay.
DVDs were the jam in primary school.
For our listeners, if you've watched a movie that's dubbed, you'll notice that the lips and the voice don't sync.
Yeah.
There's a risk that if you over choreograph and overthink your gestures, that's going to happen.
Right. Okay.
And if it's even a quarter of a second off, you will come across as cringy and off. I remember a guy I watched on stage, and he was clearly overthinking the gestures, and he forgot to gesture at a certain time. So he said something, and then he gestured, and it didn't fit. It seemed like a performance that was too thought about, and it didn't connect with people. So there isn't a step-by-step guide. It comes with experience and intuition.
I love the way you answered that with the example and kind of making me visually see this, kind of like visually see this, yeah. Yeah, you've made that a lot clearer. Did you have to learn this being up on stage with making people feel comfortable? Or was this something that completely came natural for you?
Nothing's come natural. It's all come through stuttering.
What do you mean?
When you have a stutter, you notice everything.
Because you're overthinking.
You're aware of everything.
Right.
I used to overthink. Now it's controlled thinking. And it's experience. I've learned all of this by understanding that if I do have a moment like the one I did, don't panic, stay calm. Because if I panic, what's going to happen to you?
I'm going to panic.
You're going to panic.
Yeah.
If I stay calm, what's going to happen to you?
I'm going to stay calm.
You're going to stay calm. So understanding the process of how to stay calm, to manage it, there are techniques you learn through that, which over time becomes like driving your new WRX. At what point do you brake before you get to a traffic light?
Yeah.
How early do you set your indicator to turn to give the other cars awareness that you're going to turn? It's like the cliche when you're driving a car. You learn the intuition over time.
When you first started speaking then, were you already aware on the principle of staying calm when you do go off script? It's like, oh shit, I forgot that. Or is it old, like you just go blank, freeze, don't know what to do, like...
Fuck, man. I blank and freeze so much. So many times. When I first started public speaking, I would approach my talks in panic mode. Absolute panic mode. And then I realized what it's doing, the mental drain it puts on me, and then the mental stress it puts on others in the room.
When you say panic mode, what does that look like? Is it like, hi, my name is Shil, or is it something else?
Fidgeting, speaking fast, moving too much, self-touching too much. You with the dirty mind don't think what you're thinking. Self-touching a lot, i.e. just always grooming and self-touching. My pace was relentless. I couldn't control my breathing because all I could think about was how badly this is going to go. And that would then be amplified the moment I start speaking.
Good point.
And then that's all I think about.
Do you have a story or experience that you had where it went terribly off script or wrong and you had to recover from that?
Many.
What was like the one that is always in the back of your mind, but you take it as a lesson?
Gosh, I had one of my worst presentations was in London at the beginning of 2024. Another one was in Adelaide in 2022, 2 or 3, one of those two, for 2 reasons. So the London one was to a group of 20 of London's most respected accounting chief executives. And I was invited to introduce myself and speak for 20 minutes about storytelling. Ta-da! Funny that. I get asked to speak about storytelling.
Yeah.
Because of who they were, I did all the things I've trained myself to not do. I dressed in a way that is not me. So I dressed to impress. I didn't dress for comfort. 2, during the networking conversations, I pretended that I knew about the English financial markets. What the fuck?
Ooh, the equity split of stock A.
I know what those words mean. Putting it into the conversation in the way I did made me feel stupid, and they knew it.
Right.
And 3, when I started my presentation, I realized I'm telling people, you are doing this. This is what I know. This is what you should know. Instead of having a conversation with people. I should have stopped and changed strategies. Instead, I continued to push through for 20 minutes, and it was awful.
Was this a speech that you prepared for thoroughly?
I prepare for every speech thoroughly. I should have changed strategies, though. And by that, I could have, which I've done in the past, I could have said, I feel this isn't going in the direction I would like it to. Can we change the direction of this talk? Because we've still got 20 minutes left.
Being open like that.
Completely.
Wow, I think being open like that is such a good skill because then it shows you the human-to-human aspect. You're building that connection with the speaker. Do you find that seeing different speakers in this day and age, we're too scripted in front of people? Personally, what you've seen?
I know. And the caveat I'll set is this. There is a lot that I can improve as a public speaker. There's a lot that I can do better. In saying that, I know too many speakers are too scripted. Too many speakers tell us things, i.e., here's what you are going to do, instead of inviting us into the conversation. Too many speakers are nervous.
It can be pretty bloody scary.
Too many speakers are nervous,
Right.
which is endearing. However, they cover their nerves by being boisterous and theatrical. Too many speakers perform their talk instead of conversationing their talk.
But with that, performing the story, would that enhance if in this sense you're giving us talk on a personal story, would performing that enhance it, or is there a fine line between having this conversation and performing?
There's a fine line between a conversation and performing. One of my first talks in Perth, I performed. And I asked a person who's a professional speaker to give me a critique, and this person, his name is Dave Clare. Sup, man? And we had a catch up after the talk, and I asked him, what can I do better? And he said, chill, man.
Chill.
He said, chill, just chill. I've never forgotten that, because I realized that day at that conference, I was performing it and I was theatrical with my delivery, which many people don't like. What people want is a person who's having a conversation on stage with you. Whereas if you're performing it, unless you're performing it in parts to enhance what you're saying, don't perform it. Have a conversation with people.
When you're up on stage, then, how do you come across as this conversation? Do you interact more? Do you share more of the authentic personality of yourself? How would you go about that?
Before I answer that, explain what you mean by the authentic personality of yourself.
I've seen this piece of content from you
What
walking
does that
in London,
mean?
I think.
What does that mean?
I would say the same
Yes,
view.
well, walking in London is one part of my content. What does it mean? Because people say be authentic and be yourself. What does that mean?
Well, at the moment, I'm presenting in the way I would professionally. That's like I'd say there's different levels. I could say right now I have 10 billion things going on in my mind.
Okay.
There's been times in this conversation I've not known what to say or what to ask you.
Why didn't you tell me that?
I don't know. I would say, like, I don't know. This is good. This is good. This
Excuse
is good
me
stuff now.
excuse me for interrupting you here. If you told me that, I'm stuck with my next question or where to go with this.
Yeah.
I don't know if people who watch would have ever heard an interviewer say that, which makes you sound and feel so much more human.
I love that point. I 100% agree with you.
I couldn't tell you went through that, so credit to you. If you had told me that, I call that a drop moment.
A drop moment.
A drop moment. In every presentation, I have drop moments, i.e., I forget to say something, I stutter, I spill my drink, my hand will shake, the tech will fuck up. I've said fuck 5 times now. It's all right, yes?
100%, man.
You can't edit
Tech
that out,
fucks
man.
Up.
These are drop moments. Audiences always remember drop moments. Always. It's a moment in a podcast or a conversation or a presentation where whoa, something happens that's unexpected. Like, man, there's 10 billion things in my mind. I have no idea where to go with the conversation.
Good point. That silence.
So
Yeah.
your point about be your authentic self.
Yeah, that's. Excuse me.
Hey, you burped. You burped.
That is
That's
staying
cool.
We got soda water right now. Drunk it too fast.
I've never had a chat with somebody who burps on a podcast. Can I burp back?
100% go.
That was a tiny burp. It's awful.
Oh, I love this. That authenticity right there.
Authenticity costs. For somebody to be 100% truly authentic, there's a price to pay. It means speaking up for what you believe in, which will piss other people off.
Good.
Which many people are not going to agree with. It's saying fuck, which may offend people. It's turning away opportunities that don't align with your values. It's picking the boogers out of your nose, like I did in London, because there was a booger stuck in my nose, which people would be ashamed and embarrassed to do. If I'm my true 100% authentic self on stage, completely unfiltered, I would offend many people. Many people.
I think that's Stephen Bartlett talks about you can't be everyone's favorite. If you're everyone's favorite, then you're no one's.
I understand. I agree. At home, when I'm with my wife, I say things which should never be made public.
Think we all do sometimes. Yeah.
So it's understanding that what I'm like on stage when I'm presenting is completely me. However, there's another authentic part of me which only exists at home. There's another authentic part of me which only exists with my best friends. There's another authentic part of me which comes out once a year when I've had 4 whiskeys with my best friends. Doesn't come out.
Only 4?
4 is my limit. Maybe 5. 5 and I become cannonball. Too much. I'm digressing the conversation.
This is one of the moments where it's like, where do you take it? Because I feel the authenticity side in this day and age is super important, but knowing where to draw the line between too much information or presenting and all this. When you present on stage, obviously this line changes on different situations, as you were saying. For a professional audience, would you say there's that bit of personality, authenticity in that to build that connection, that conversational structure with the audience?
Yes. Yes.
How would you go about that? For someone who may not know where their line is, did you ask yourself some particular questions, get feedback?
I have asked people who have experience in stagecraft. Well, when I ask a person around how I am on stage, it's only a person who's presented from stage 100 times because they understand stagecraft. I wouldn't ask respectfully and a member of the audience who doesn't understand what it's like to be on stage.
Good point.
Wouldn't do that. I've learnt it because I've watched myself hundreds and hundreds of times. I've paid people to watch me and tell me what I do well and what I can do better. One thing I've learnt is when you start public speaking, always give the audience something of yourself. Always offer them a piece of you so that they feel more comfortable to let their guard down.
Right. So in that...
That's my style. because
that's really good.
you're asking people for three things. Anytime you speak, you're asking people for three things: their attention, their time, and their trust. It's incredibly difficult to earn people's attention, never waste people's time, and trust, very difficult to earn, very easy to lose.
Yeah.
So you're asking for three things which require effort. And I feel when you give something of yourself the moment you start speaking, you're more likely to earn attention, time, and trust.
For you, would that be being vulnerable and disregarding those techniques and showing how bad your stutter is?
It's one of the ways, yeah.
The other way, this part of your speech you did in Northern, which stood out to me, was the start. You didn't say a word.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what is going on? Would that be another technique you use?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Silence.
Silence. The
Silence.
superpower.
I wanted to demonstrate how you can earn attention, time, and trust without saying a word.
Let's see it right now.
What's that?
The technique. I'm intrigued.
As in how to earn attention, time, and trust without
Saying
a
a
word?
Yeah.
It wouldn't work now
Okay.
because we're an hour into this conversation.
Yeah.
If we weren't this far into the conversation, I could have shown you something. The next time you get up to do the public speaking, try it. Only use your facial movements. That's your eyes, your expressions, your contours, your gestures, and your body positioning. Only use that for 60 seconds to convey your message. 1, people will not be expecting it. 2, it'll be daunting for you. 3, it'll give you immense control over how you then shape your next piece.
Wow.
It may not work well in a conversation like this because this is designed to be a conversation which starts. Whereas to get attention on stage,
Need that audience.
it works.
I got a workshop this Tuesday coming. I'm
Okay.
going to open with it like that.
Cool. What's your workshop about?
We're doing introduction to speeches,
Mhm.
thanking speaker, all the basic stuff for
Cool.
Water Court, which should be interesting.
Awesome. Well done.
Thank you, Shil. Shil, I usually ask the same question at every single episode,
Okay.
and the question is, what would you tell your younger self? But I'm going to change it up for you.
Okay.
If all your social media posts, videos, and speeches were erased from the internet forever, and all you had was the next 60 seconds, what's the most useful thought you could leave to the world?
It's the thought that I would leave it's a similar thought to what I ended the Northern presentation with. And that is, every time you speak, you have an opportunity to share a story. And within that story, you have an opportunity to build trust. Therefore, every time you speak, you're auditioning for people's trust. One of the best ways to build that trust is to meet people in person, look them in the eye, shake their hand, and share a story with them. That's the thought that I would leave people with. And if you don't already do this, support Manchester United.
Shil Shanghavi, thank you so much for this authentic, genuine conversation. It's been a mind twist, and I've enjoyed the actionable steps I can take away
Cool.
and apply straight away, and I'm sure the listeners have gotten something as well. You are the founder of Perth Unfiltered. Let's plug that in right here. Tell us about this club in less than 60 seconds. The first event is back in February.
The first event is back on Feb 10th. Perth Unfiltered is a concept based on human-centered storytelling. We look for 5 people who are not professional speakers to share a 5-minute story. You have done one. It must be a personal story. There is no pitching, promoting, selling, no work talk, no career talk. We invite you to share a 5-minute personal story. Why personal? Because it's unexpected, and through that story, you build connections with people. Hence the reason Perth Unfiltered, because we're looking for unfiltered personal stories.
I love that. It's so entertaining as well.
Thanks, man.
Shil Shanghavi, thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you for tuning into The Growth Concept. If you want to connect with Shil, all of his links are in the show notes below. And if you, most importantly, enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the show and share this episode with someone you care about most to elevate their public speaking journey. And in return, I will do my absolute best to keep improving this show every single day, and I will not stop. Continue bringing the guests you want on to have these real conversations to elevate our growth. Thank you for tuning in. This is The Growth Concept.